What is up, ladies and gents? We are back, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the staff dagger build. Now, of course, I can't show you the build that I would prefer because I just don't have it. When you have it fully traded, you can't really see the points, but this is kind of an idea of what you should expect. You're not going to be using this unless you want to, because the 2-piece does give you a cooldown speed, but most people that I know are using the 4-piece wing set. And if you want to know what that looks like, let's go ahead and summon the storage unit. Let me see if I can find like a 1-piece wing set to see what it looks like right here. So here's the helmet, here's the gloves, I believe. Yeah, here goes the gloves. Let's see, here's the pants, and here's the boots. So that's 4-piece right there. I'm avoiding the chest piece because the chest piece can be the Abyss chest piece, or it can be the Wraith chest piece, because some people like the heavy attack chance. But let's go ahead and look at the traits on this thing. So this gives you ranged evasion and magic evasion, which is really good because, let's be honest, when you have melee evasion, I mean, some people will still argue you can potentially get up to like 1500, 1600. You can. It's just, if you're really going to be in the backline and constantly rotating your distance, the melee shouldn't even get that close to you to begin with. That's just, you know, it's opinion based, but I've seen it constantly in Siege Warfare when there's so much going on. It's not often the melee is going to have a chance to grab you. They can try, but if they fully dive down back there, they're probably going to die. So like ranged evasion, magic evasion, and this is going to basically give you all of the stats to just counter 2 different classes, which is going to be your main issue. Obviously, you can try to get melee evasion, but it's just you're gonna suffer a lot in the long run because of it. Because when you do stuff like mine, where I have magic and melee evasion, and I kind of had a balanced build, I'm only gonna have around 1500 of everything. But with the new metas and everything going towards the end game, people are pushing past 2k evasion, and because the people are able to get like higher forms of hit, 1300, 1500, even the melee has up to like, I think 16, 1700 hit depending on what they're using. You could just get a substantial amount of hit, not including food buffs. So yeah. But if you use the 4-piece wing set, that's what you can have. You can have everything ranged and magic evasion. Let me go ahead and switch my skills to the staff dagger build and show you why I chose the things that I chose. Let's go back. Let's go back towards the skills. Now this, I sometimes use this mainly because it depends on who I'm fighting. To increase my chances of beating a one-on-one and a bell user, I'll have this, because fighting a Bellandir crossbow user, it's just frustrating, because yeah, you could have like 2k ranged evasion and then maybe you want to stack an extra bit of endurance to last longer, but if you don't have that, this is kind of like a nice little failsafe. Helps with large scale warfare as well, because if they're standing still, you can evade all magic and ranged projectiles for 3 seconds, and obviously assuming with buff duration that lasts a little bit longer, so I could just stand there and take it. Now, I like this skill because it's instant. Obviously, you'd want to have this skill as well, serial firebomb. So if you're not going to worry about that too much, you'll have this, because this helps you get your heavy attack stacks because of your passive right here. It says heavy attack chance plus 10 per burning stack. So at 10 stacks of burn, you're going to have more heavy attack chance. So this is what my build looks like. Magic, ranged, and heavy attack chance 466. Now add an extra 100, that's 566. To kind of give you an idea of what that would look like, I'm gonna put 1 stack so you guys can read it here. It says take damage for a set duration, so that's 1 burning stack. Now we got 7. Let's see if Infernal procs 1. That's not guaranteed, but yeah, it's pretty high. So then 10. And then when you have your stack, it'll do like a heavy, so like your heavy is like a ×2. So let's go ahead and keep going so you guys can finally see what that looks like, and hopefully it'll right there, ×2, 4.503 ×2. So that's a big deal, because if you're fighting high geared players and you get 1 lightning off that hits for like 4k or so, and you get a ×2, you could probably like one shot people. Like I just got my Judgment Lightning back, like 2.759 ×2. Now, let's go ahead and look at the rest of the skills and why I use them. So the reason I use Chain Lightning is it's just for quick kills, Judgment Lightning, because you can use it multiple times. If you do, it says when you land a heavy attack with this skill, it can be immediately used again. So that's why I was able to use it again. And when the second Judgment Lightning strikes and it's a heavy attack, it reduces the cooldown by 30%. This is to use for sticky situations. Let's say I'm getting chased and I'm almost getting pinned. I'll back up, boom, boom, and then depending on the staff that you're using, you can actually have a bind through that smoke. So now let's go ahead and look at other skills. If I'm a more team player and I'm watching my tanks and making sure that they tank and then want to protect them, I could slap that on if instead of the freeze. Freeze is to slow players down or just to stop, you know, tanks from being extra annoying. So let's say there's just a tank on top of like your healer. You can peel them off with Icebound Tomb, or you can use Salvation Chain and just pull off your pull them off closer to you so you can heal them. But since, you know, I'm not a healer, obviously, you know, this would be more for like a staff wand build. I'm not using that. I'm using the freeze because it actually helps. So Shadow Strike, we already know why we use this, because it helps bind them and silence. Here goes Ankle Strike. The reason why I like to use Ankle Strike is if I bind somebody, I can actually kick them down on the ground. So I do have a video of that. Hold on, let me see if I can have some. Let me do something for free. Let's see. This guy's dangerous. I'm not fighting him. He's one of the better PvPers. Don't hit, just showcasing. Let's see. It's not working. Huh. Cannot be used on a target in a region with different characteristics. It's not letting me. What the? Let me try that again. Says you have different characteristics. Well, that's a first for me. Anyways, this has a lot of different bugs. Let's see. Let me read it to you. It says deals damage equal to 210% of base damage plus self against bound, sleeping, or stunned targets, or those using static defense. Has an 80% chance to apply collision prone. Cannot be used while moving. So if you get it to +5, you have a 96% chance of that being successful. So what that does is you go ahead and you Shadow Strike a player and then kick them. I don't know if you saw that, but I'll zoom in again so you can see that there's a 30-second cooldown on that, because it's really good for fighting because it allows you to get a couple more hits in. So Shadow Strike, it says, let's read that to you. Bind the target for 2 seconds and apply Silence Poison for 4 seconds. So you bind them for 2 seconds. If you have buff duration or stuff like that, it'll extend it a little bit longer. So like I'm not sure if you've ever been binded, but that really sucks. But let's go ahead and zoom in so you can see what's happening. Let me take off the camera. Hold up. How is this? Is it Alt X? No, Alt X. There you go. There you go. So Shadow Strike, and then that little kick right there. That little kick puts a player on the ground. So let's go ahead and look at the rest of the skills. Now I also have Brutal Incision to do a quick kill. Does an excruciating amount of damage. It says when the target's remaining health is 50% or less, critical hit 600. So that means your ability to hit your your max damage is higher, and then you got critical damage plus 20%. So it's a good skill to have if you have a player below 50%. Let's see, the next skill I have here is Predatory Strikes. So I'll read that for you. Deals 490% of base damage, yada yada yada. The damage is increased by 9% for targets under the effect of your burning, curse, or poison damage over time. So anytime you have like a poison stack, or let's say since like I'm Staff Dagger, it's a poison, you could just go in for a quick kill. Obviously, these skills don't have much range, so If someone just gets too close, that's the only real optimal reason you'd want to use it. I mean, you can go in there and just dive bomb people as a staff dagger, but it's just you're not playing at your strengths because you know you're supposed to be in the back line. Now, this skill is interchangeable. You can use high focus, or you can use frenzy sword dance to keep your evasion up. And what do I mean by that? So like I said, when you're doing PvP, this goes up because of your passive. See, now it's at 1380. Hold on, let me switch to my daggers. Now it's at 1489, 1499, and 975. That's because of this passive right here, which is Shadow Walker. After using mobility or movement skill, damage reduction increased by 14, and magic and ranged evasion increased by 690 for 6 seconds, along with, like, you know, your buffs, durations, and stuff like that. So the reason I choose this one is because you can use more skills, because this has a longer cooldown for 1v1s, increases cooldown speed by 34%, and movement speed by 22% for 12 seconds. So you can use a lot of skills that normally would take a lot longer, and you can use it in succession after you combine it with that. So let's say that's 8 seconds normally, and that's 26 seconds normally. So when that's off cooldown, I'll show you what that looks like. The last active training skill that I use is camouflage cloak. That's not even a word. Camouflage cloak. Becomes stealth for 10.5 seconds, and it says 10 seconds, but if you have buff duration, that can be a lot longer. Mine personally is like 14-15 seconds. I'll show you that right now. You saw it right there. It's max level +5, but look right here. It says 15 seconds on the left. So I increased the ability to cloak much longer, and that's mainly because of stuff like this. Where is it? Increase the duration of buffs. I'm assuming it's a buff because that lasted a lot longer. So I could be wrong. Again, if I am, I apologize. I'm just trying to share information. But let's go back. So now that my high focus is off cooldown and my judgment lightning, so you saw it was 23 and then 8. So now I'm gonna use high focus, and then now look at the judgment lightning right here. Hold on. Boom. So now it's at 6 seconds instead of 8, and now it's at 21 seconds instead of 28. Like, look at how big a deal that is. But like, those are just 2 skills. Like, obviously I could use other skills, freeze 20 seconds, etc, etc, but I can only use that once, which is why it's not it's not a very attractive skill to have. So let's move on to passive skills. Passive skills that I have is an echoic barrier. So what this does is, when silenced, the silence duration decreases by 2 seconds. If either silence, bind, sleep is applied, the resistance for the applied effect increases by 440 for 9 seconds. +5, it's 640. So it's really good, because it allows you to not have those things happen to you. Silence, bind, or sleep resistance up by 640, which is a huge deal, because if you look, let me slow it down, go here. Most players have a weaken chance, stun chance, Petra, sleep, silence, terror, bind at 300. So having it at 600 means it'll become a 50-50. Like if you read the skill, let's read it slowly together. It says increase the chance to blah blah blah. If your stat is higher than the target's weakened resistance, for every 10 points of difference, the chance increases by 4%. So let's say, for every 10 points of difference, so 100% increases, it's about what, 40%? So that's going based off the math. So, you know, the 10 points is 4%, 20 points is 8%, 30 points is 12%. So let me pull out a calculator. Let's see. I'm pretty sure it's 40%. So let's see. Good old chat GBT. If every 10 points of difference, chance increases about 4%. If every 10 points of difference is 4%, then what would 100 points make? Easy math. Definitely going to be 40%. So ChatGPT says itself, understanding the proportion. Come on, hurry up. It's not that hard. Yep, 40%. So at 640, then you're basically immune. Obviously, that's not the case because you never know what the actual odds are. That's why this is an underlooked skill right here, or overlooked skill. Not sure the right phrasing, but it's a good thing to have to avoid getting slept on because of how high the that buff is. Anyway, let's go to flame condensation. Flame condensation increases the burning damage by 72% if used on a target that you've burned. Heavy attack chance increases by 10 per stack. You already know that. Mana amp, which is one of my favorite skills, says right here. Max mana up to 3k. So at +5 you can get an extra 600. You don't really need it. It's not an issue for me, but the reason I want to get it to purple is because of the fact that you get a free bonus 1200 HP. So look at my health right now. My health right now is 15,940 as a staff dagger player. Let's see. Let's keep going with the skills. Slow down. Now, this skill I have +5 because I have critical hit base for 290 plus. I don't have to explain why crit's important, and here's asceticism. So let's read this. Magic, melee and ranged heavy attack chance 100 with additional mana regen, and this effect remains for 2 seconds even after you make a movement. So what that means is, let me go ahead and show you right here is my heavy attack chance. Let me go ahead and move. It has to be very, very quick because I have to move for more than 2 seconds. So look, 366, stand still for 2 seconds, boom, back up again. So that's why later on you realize that you have to pretty much stand still if you want your abilities to kind of proc to get that extra 100, because that's a significant amount of heavy attack chance. Let's read the rest. Mana regen increases by 84. And also your mana regen addition 54, magic, melee, and ranged hit by 100. So just let's say you have 900 hit. If you stand still, now you have 1,000 hit. This effect remains in effect for 2 seconds. Blah 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 blah. Let's move on to the next one. Shadow Walker, I'd explain that. The reason I like this skill is Forbidden Sanctuary because oh yeah, I transferred the skill over. I use this. It used to be +5, but I transferred it over to my tank skill. But this if you want to see what that looks like, swap. Let's see, yeah, see, I could swap this one out for this one to get my +5 to get my Dread's Patience or Impenetrable up. But I used to have this +5. That would put my skill damage at 140 plus, so I'm missing 40. Let's look at my skill damage. So I'm missing 40 points. That put me at 400 plus 430 skill damage boost. And let me read this to you. Increase the damage and recovery from skills for every 10 points. All right, so that helps you get quick kills. And the last and final thing that I run for Staff Dagger is Wrathful Edge. Critical damage 17%, because again, what I'm trying to do is get quick kills. Some people can replace that for this one as well. On defeating the target, mana regen 84 and movement speed 30% for 6 seconds. This is really good for large scale because if you get a kill, the first skill within the duration will not consume any mana in the last 9 seconds at night. Because having that movement speed at 37% at +5 is huge. So this is, in my opinion, an interchangeable skill. So you can get rid of that. But other than that, I'd definitely keep everything else. You know, everyone has skills that they would like to use, but those are just the skills that I use. And you can have multiple Staff Dagger builds. This is more for like large scale, in my opinion. So large scale, I would remove, if it's large scale, let me correct myself. I would remove, I think, this one and this one and this one. These 3 skills because I don't want to be anywhere near people. And I would put Infernal Meteor because this will allow me to cast an AoE bombing skill. So let's show you what that looks like. Let's say I'm all the way in the back. And look at that, 4.928 across multiple players. Imagine that with the ×2, but imagine if it was +5, that would be like around 8k or 9. I've seen people hit meteors for 8 to 9k meteors on a huge group, and imagine 10 different mages doing that. And let's see what else for large scale. You could rock inner peace if you run out of mana. Not that I would. But that's honestly one of the skills right here. And you can also use knife throwing because it causes movement speed reduction. I'll read it to you. It says the number of throwing daggers increases to 5 +5, slowdown reduction or movement speed reduction to 68.35. That's why I'm not sure like if I would keep ankle strike, but there's other skills that you can use. Like you use Ice Spear. That's the only other damage skill that you can probably use. You can use Fatal Stigma or Umbral Spirit. Not that I would use any of those, but I think honestly, let's go back. I'll leave that. Meteor, hold on. and keep it like this. Now again, this one's interchangeable with let's see, like any other skill here. So but yeah, that's Staff Dagger. There's 3 different ways you can build Staff Dagger: 1v1s, mid to small scale fights, and then large scale. If you're gonna have a large scale fight, definitely have Meteor. Otherwise, then why are you playing the class? Because it's like a good bombing class. All the PvPers here are really well geared. So for me to be a true Staff Dagger, I'll show you some clips in the next video. This is just me just kind of going over the build so you guys can see for yourself what that looks like. Wait, I almost forgot masteries. So again, you'd want to get Dagger mastery to +13 and get 6 on the top, 6 on the bottom. Here, I'll just go over it real quick. You can pause it at your own convenience so you can read the skills, but most importantly, get all evasion 1 to 5 right here and main it. And then here's the res: base damage. So you can get 6 and 6. Now for the staff, cooldown speed is important, resistance, magic damage dealt. So let's see, magic hit right here, +40. All evasion, +40, that's good. But let's see, ignition, magic hit, max mana. Your choice. Let's see, base damage and magic hit +20. This is my PvE staff, weapon mastery. So I think you'd probably do 6 and 6 right here. You decide yourself. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that I can share for Staff Dagger. Then tomorrow's video will show you a couple of kills with the Staff Dagger. Because if I fight these guys who are better geared than I am with, you know, arc boss weapons right here, I'm definitely gonna get farmed. I'd have to fight one of these guys that I've never even heard of. Let's see if this guy has. Nope, Queen Bellendeer bow. Let's see this guy right here. Now this is a fun, fair 1v1 right here. You know what? Let me fight Rich. Nah, he's a greatsword dagger. Remember, 4-piece wing set. You will not have any melee evasion. So, but if you do want to have some, you know, melee stuff, I would stack more endurance because you're not going to evade a tank. Only reason I would assume to have any melee evasion is to just kind of avoid the other dagger players that are like above, you know, like 1k-ish. But like great swords and tanks, you're not gonna really evade them. I fight them all the time on my paladin build and my wand dagger, but I can't imagine fighting them any other way. It's difficult. But yeah, I know this is a long guide. There's just so much to say and showcase, but I just can't do it all in one video. I'm not going to edit this video, but to give you an idea of what I use for the class. Perception 60, but some people, and 50 strength for my Staff Dagger build, but I've talked to a couple other people. I'm not going to say names because I don't want to give up their builds, but this is how they have their build as well. They would have 50, 50, 50. And then some people, hold on. Just to show you what that looks like, hold on. I'm missing one point right here, hold up. Look what happens to my HP if I have it like that. Now I have 15, 940. Reset all the stats. And then some builds I've seen, the points, they have it like this. 50 for the movement speed because they don't want to get, you know, caught by a tank, so they'd have 50, 50, and then 50 right here, or like 40 right here for the DR because you want to get that DR. But you got to play with your build a bit to see what builds you can do, because you definitely need to have certain pieces to reach the threshold. So 4-piece wing set, chest piece is your decision. You can have the Holy Ghost, you can have the Wraith Knight, or you can have the Abyss for more stat points to reach certain break points that you have here. Because you definitely want the movement speed. Some people like the dexterity. You want the cooldown speed at 50, and unfortunately you do want that range at 7. You need it because you're Staff Dagger, so you need that 7.5% buff. But hit wise, I would prefer 60, but most of the staff players that I've seen and very successful guilds have, they usually leave it at 50. I'm looking at the Discord right now with people just linking stuff, but yeah. this is just to show you guys. Well, thank you guys. Hopefully this video was informative. And look forward to later tonight's video or tomorrow's video to see me kill a couple people with the staff dagger. And then the last video for PvP is going to be the longbow dagger. And that way I can show you guys all the builds. So thanks guys. And as always, stay blessed.